Good evening, sir.
Okay. In the last class, we have discussed about the use of microorganisms in the treatment of sewage water and in the production of biogas. Okay, and today we'll discuss about the importance of microorganisms as biocontrol agents, or we can also say it as bioinsecticides or pesticides. Okay, microbes as biocontrol agents. So when you observe here, that means that there are some microorganisms which are used to protect the croplands. Okay, croplands. Okay, it may be the fruit yielding or vegetable yielding or any food grains. Okay, we are using certain microorganism to protect from the damage by the insects or pests. So how it is done? Okay, so you can see here biocontrol. Biocontrol refers to the use of biological methods. Generally, what the farmers will do means if they find any insects or pests affecting the cropland, okay, they will go to the market and they will buy certain chemicals, chemical insecticides or pesticides, and they will mix up with water and spray in the crop field. Okay, which will kill the this insects and pests. Okay, when they are spraying these chemical substances, they are not only affecting the harmful insects or pests, they are also damage to the useful insects. They are killing the useful insects also. That's why we need to develop certain mechanisms which will kill only harmful insects, and that can be achieved by using biocontrol agents. So this here, so that what we'll discuss here. So biocontrol refers to the use of biological methods for controlling plant diseases and pests. Okay, in modern society, these problems have been tackled increasingly by the use of chemicals, by the use of insecticides and pesticides, chemical insecticides and pesticides. They are nowadays we are using enormously to kill these insects. But these chemicals are toxic and extremely harmful to human beings alike, and having a polluting and have been polluting our environment and have been polluting our environment. So soil, groundwater, okay, that means it is polluting soil. These chemicals are polluting soil. They are polluting the groundwater, damaging the fruits, vegetables, and crop plants. Our soil is also polluted through our use of weedicides to remove weeds. So we are also using certain chemicals, okay, to remove the weeds from the crop plants. Okay, and as we are using certain chemicals to remove the weeds or to destroy the weeds, okay, these chemicals are polluting the environment and the soil, these weedicides. So that's why it is better to avoid the use of okay, it is better to avoid the use of weedicides, okay, insecticides, okay, chemical insecticides and pesticides, chemical weedicides. So how we can achieve this? Okay, we can achieve by using biocontrol, okay, or biological control of pest and diseases. Okay, how biological control of pest and diseases is obtained? Okay, in agriculture, there is a method of controlling pest that relies on natural predation rather than introduced chemicals. So instead of using chemicals, okay, instead of using chemicals, okay, we can make use of natural predators. That means there are some organisms which will feed on these insects which will damage to the croplands. Those are called natural predators. Okay, so here we have to make use of natural predation. So in agriculture, there is a method of controlling pests that relies on natural predation. Okay, so instead of using chemical fertilizers, okay, we can rely on a natural predators rather than chemicals. That is okay. That means there are some birds or some other insects, okay, which will feed on an insects which will cause damage to the croplands. So that okay, we have to encourage such organisms, okay, so that we can avoid the use of chemicals. So a key belief of the organic farmer is that biodiversity furthers health. So by this, okay, that means when you are using chemicals, okay, along with the harmful insects, the useful insects is also getting damaged. So when we use these natural predators, okay, of that insects which are causing damage to the croplands, only that harmful insects are only destroyed. They are not showing any effect on the useful insects. So it is helping in maintaining the biodiversity. Okay, and next, the more variety a landscape has, the more sustainable it is. So that means already while we are discussing about the biodiversity and its conservation, we have come across this concept. Okay, those ecosystems which are rich in biodiversity, they are more stable and they are able to sustain for a longer period of time. So that's what he is saying. So the more variety, that means the more the biodiversity in that landscape, the more sustainable it is. Okay. And next, the organic farmer therefore works to create a system where the insects that are sometimes called pests are not eradicated, but instead are kept at manageable levels by a complex system of checks and balances within a living and vibrant ecosystem. So here, complete eradication of certain insects is also not good for the ecosystem. Okay, to sustain the ecosystem, even these insects which are causing damage to the crops, okay, they should not be present in large number. Okay, there has to be, the number has to be controlled. Their number has to be in a controlled one. Okay, even if okay, if they are more than, then more damage will occur and the ecosystem is also getting damaged. So to prevent that one, we are using certain natural checks, okay, or natural predators, which will check the population of these pests so that they are not completely eradicated. At the same time, they are feeding on the insects to the which are causing much damage to the croplands. So that means here they are maintaining the biodiversity, at the time they are controlling the population of the pest which are causing damage to the crops. Okay, that is. And next, contrary to the conventional farming practices, which often use chemical methods to kill both useful and harmful life forms indiscriminately. So here we have to understand one thing. That means when we are using chemicals, what is the problem with the chemicals? Usage of chemicals means, okay, they are not only causing damage to the harmful insects, they are also causing damage to the useful insects also. Okay, that means they are indiscriminately killing. That means these chemicals will show its effect on useful insects as well as harmful insects also. Okay, this is a holistic approach that seeks to develop an understanding of the webs of interaction between the myriad of organisms that constitute the fauna and flora. So that means here we are using as a holistic approach. That means we are totally killing all the insects or pests, whether they are causing damage to the crop or not. That is secondary. But we are causing the death of all the insects and damaging the biodiversity or destroying the biodiversity, okay, regarding the fauna and flora. Because when the useful insects are destroyed, they are helping in pollination and helps in increasing the population. Okay, that means when pollination occurs, then only the seeds are produced, then only the population of the plants is increased. So if pollination does not occur, the plants are affected. And okay, and the insect population, okay, the animal population is also getting damaged. So fauna, both are affected. So the organic farmer holds the view that the eradication of the creatures that are often described as pests is not only possible but also undesirable. For without them, the beneficial predatory and parasitic insects which depend upon them as food or host would not be able to survive. So here, okay, the organic farmer, okay, is thinking about okay, the eradication of creatures. That means the destroying of creatures. Okay, why? Because here we are not only destroying the insect, we are not only destroying the insect population, we are also destroying the other organisms or other animal population which are depending upon this insect. It may be the parasites which are living in insect, or the some predators which are depending upon these insects. All they are also getting affected. So that, okay, the organism, the total organisms that are present in that ecosystem might be affected. Okay, that's why, okay, it is better to avoid usage of chemical fertilizers rather than, okay, we can make use of okay, rather than that we can make use of biocontrol agents. So thus the use of biocontrol measures will greatly reduce our dependence on toxic chemicals and pesticides. So by using this biocontrol agents, we can make you, okay, we can reduce the usage of these chemicals, okay, which will cause damage to the insects and pests. So an important part of the biological farming approach is to become familiar with the various life forms, okay, that inhabit the field, okay, predators as well as pests, and also their life cycles. Okay, that means okay, when a person is looking for a, okay, organic farming or biological farming approach, okay, when he was approaching to this biological farming, then he can understand what are the different life forms that are present in that area, okay, and what are the predator, which are predators, which are pests. Okay, that one also you can able to understand, and you can study the life cycles of that organisms, and based upon their life cycles they can develop certain mechanisms and a pattern of feeding. That means when they are feeding, when they are not feeding, okay, all they will understand, and the habitats that they prefer, and the habitats that they prefer, all these organisms, and they will help develop appropriate means of biocontrol. Okay, and okay, they will help develop appropriate means of biocontrol. So by understanding all these concepts, that means when he knows all about all these concepts, then only he can design better ways of biocontrol agents. Okay, and next, the very familiar Okay, that is what, okay, some of the biocontrol agents, not only microorganisms, we are using, okay, certain other organisms also. Okay, first we'll go with that large organisms. Okay, the very familiar beetle with the red and black markings. Okay, beetles. Okay, we can observe certain beetles. Okay, which we commonly call it as ladybird and dragonflies, which these are all carnivorous. Okay, carnivorous insects. Okay, which will feed on other insects. So that is the ladybird. Okay, it is a type of beetle with red and black markings on the wings. Okay, it is called ladybird. And dragonflies, you know very well. Okay, are useful to get rid of aphids and mosquitoes. Okay, aphids and mosquitoes which are causing damage to the crop plants. Okay, those can be eradicated by using ladybird and dragonflies. Okay, that is next an example of microbial biocontrol agents. Okay, an example of microbial biocontrol agents that can be introduced in order to control butterfly caterpillars. Okay, that is okay, to control the butterfly caterpillars, because the caterpillars are voraciously feeding on the leaves and damages the stems, fruits, like this. Okay, so okay, we have to control this caterpillars of butterfly. So how to control? So how to control means it is controlled by using a bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis, often written as BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. B refers to Bacillus and T refers to the species name, that is thuringiensis. Okay, this bacterium is made use to kill this caterpillars of butterfly. Okay, when you use this bacteria, okay, it will kill only the caterpillars which will feed on the plant material. Okay, these are available. Okay, when you observe this Bacillus thuringiensis, okay, this bacteria, these are available in sachets as a dried spores. Okay, that means okay, they are growing this Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, and they are providing artificial unfavorable conditions. As a result, the bacillus forms into spores or transforms into spores, and these spores are collected and they are packed in the form of sachets, and these sachets are sold in the market. Okay, and these spores are brought by the farmer when, okay, and now what they will do means they mix us with the water. So when the water is available, so it means the moisture is available, so this bacillus comes out of the spore and start growing and forms a large number of bacteria. Okay, that is what we are making. And bacteria which comes out of the water after dissolving the spores, and that bacteria with water is sprayed on the crop field, or sprayed in the on the plants of the crop field. Okay, that is what we can see here. These are available in sachets as the dried spores, which are mixed with the water and sprayed onto vulnerable plants. That means the plants which are affected with the insects or pests. Such, okay, we can, such as the brassica and the fruit trees, which we where these are eaten by the insect larvae. So wherever okay, whichever the plants that are infected with, okay, which are affected with this larva of the insects, okay, we'll choose the plants and okay, and we'll make and we'll spray this water mixed with this base force of stringencies on the plant. Okay, that is the bacterial disease will kill the caterpillars. Sorry. Okay, that is okay when they are eaten by the insect larvae. in the gut of larvae, the toxin is released. So this bacteria will produce a certain toxin. Okay, when they will produce the toxin, when this Bacillus thuringiensis, okay, that means when we spray on the leaves, when these leaves are eaten, okay, with this bacteria, and the bacteria will enter into the gut of this larva of mosquito, larva of butterflies, and the bacteria will release the toxin, and this toxin damages the digestive system of the larva and finally leads to the death of that, thus kills
Caterpillar, sir.
caterpillars. Yes, only the caterpillars. Even if it is taken by the human, okay, it does not cause any effect. It will not cause any damage to the cattle. It will not cause damage to the human. Okay, only the larva of the butterflies or the caterpillars of the butterflies are only affected. The
Sir, it
toxin
affects
will
the population of butterflies, sir.
no, not even the adult ones, because adult ones will not feed it directly, no, on the leaves. Okay, they will okay, they
Yes,
will
sir.
suck the plant juices. So it does not directly affect the adult ones. It will affect the caterpillars because the caterpillars will directly eat the leaves. Okay, because they are having biting and chewing type of mouthparts, they cut the leaves and they will eat. When they are also along with the leaf, they are also eating the bacterial spores. And these bacterial spores, after entering, okay, they develop and they form the bacteria, and this bacteria will start secreting a toxin in the gut of a that caterpillar, and this toxin will damages the digestive system, finally leading to the death of that. That is what we can see here. So when these are eaten by the insect larva, okay, in the gut of the larva, the toxin is released and the larvae get killed. And the larvae get killed. And next, the bacterial disease will kill the caterpillars but leave other insects unarmed, even not the adult forms also. Okay, if the caterpillar population is controlled automatically, from the caterpillars only the adult forms are produced. No. When the caterpillar population is controlled, automatically the adult population is also controlled. Okay. Understand? Because the caterpillars only in the later form, they will convert it into adult forms. So if you control the
Yes, sir.
caterpillar population, automatically we are controlling the adult population also. Okay, so the bacterial disease will kill the caterpillars but leave other insects unarmed. Not even other insects, so only the targeted insects only damaged. And because of the development of methods of genetic engineering in the last decade or so, the scientists have introduced Bacillus thuringiensis toxic toxin genes into plants. So, okay, now with the improvement in biotechnological process or genetic engineering, what we are doing means, okay, in bacteria, okay, the bacteria is able to produce the toxin now. For the production of this toxin, there is one gene. Understand? Okay, a gene is responsible because every character that is expressed in any organism, it is controlled by a particular gene. Understood? Any character, whatever the character that is expressed in any organism, that is only because of the presence of that particular gene in that organism. So here what we are doing means, that means in case of bacteria also, there is a particular gene which is involved in the production of this Bt toxin. The toxin that is produced by this Bacillus thuringiensis, we are calling it as a Bt toxin. So that gene, what by using genetic engineering or biotechnological process, the gene which is responsible for the production of bacterium, that is introduced into the genetic material of that crop plant. That means only that particular gene, only that particular gene which is responsible for the production of that toxin, that particular toxin. That gene is isolated from the bacteria, and that gene is introduced into the DNA or genetic material of that crop plant. And they are developing a new plant. Now, now there is no need of this bacterium, because as we introduced the gene into the plant itself is able to produce the toxin without the help of bacterium, because we are placing the gene in all the cells, and all the cells are able to produce the toxin. Toxin is inactive in plants. We already said no, it is not showing any effect in any other organism. Toxin will become active only in the gut of the insects. So the toxin is produced, but the toxin is produced in inactive form in the plants. When that plant is eaten by the caterpillar, this inactive toxin will enters into the digestive system or gut of the insect or caterpillar, where it is converted into active form and damages the insects without being damaging the crop plant. So that is achieved by genetic engineering, and it was developed since some 10 years, and we are making use of. Nowadays, we have got a lot of BT related crop plants, BT cotton, okay, BT tomato, brinjal, okay, BT soybean, okay, depending upon the
For
type of the for different,
sir.
okay, because depending upon the insect, depending upon the type of the insect that is damaging the crop, based on that the toxin is also differed, which is produced by the bacillus. So based upon the type of the crop and the type of the insect that is prevailing in that environment or in that area, based on that the toxin gene is introduced into that crop plant. Okay, we'll see. Okay, we'll come across that concept very clearly while we are discussing about the applications of biotechnology in detail. Okay, here it is given very clearly. So
Yes, sir.
by using genetic engineering, okay, in the last decade or so, the scientists have introduced basic genesis toxin genes into plants. Such plants are resistant to attack by insect pest. So that means the plants by themselves, they have developed resistance against the insects. Here there is no need of every time, there is no need of whenever the okay farmer finds any insect, okay, he has to go to the market and he has to bring this sachets of Bacillus thuringiensis and he has to mix and he has to spray. That okay, that work also no need now. Okay, when he was buying the insect, okay, buying the seeds to raise the crop, at that time only he has to choose this BT related seeds that are sold in the market. Okay, and next, okay, so whatever the BT type that he has selected, that okay, the plant will be protected from that particular insect. And next, so here we can see what, okay, BT cotton is one such example. First they have developed with the cotton, and later on they have been introduced into other crop plants also, okay, which is being cultivated in some states of our country. Okay, that is you can see, okay, if you okay in your nearby place any cotton plants are okay, cotton crop is there, once you go and ask your okay, the okay, your relatives might be growing, or in you okay, your father or okay, some other, if you are growing the cotton crop itself only, you ask, go and ask, okay, they will say BT, double BT, like that. Okay, we are growing double BT cotton. That means the cotton plant is protected from two different varieties of okay, insects. That means they have introduced two genes which will be protecting from two different insects. That is a double BT, they will say. Like this, they will say. All a type of a biocontrol agent. Okay, here we are using bacterial or bacterial genes. So it is a microbial. Okay, and not only that, okay, we can use other organisms also. Okay, a biological control being developed for use in the treatment of plant disease in the fungus like a trichoderma. Okay, a biological control being developed for use in the treatment of plant disease is the fungus trichoderma. Trichoderma species are free living fungi that are very common in the root ecosystems. They are effective biocontrol agents of several plant pathogens. Why? Because this fungus trichoderma will produce certain antibiotics. Okay, this fungus trichoderma will produce certain antibiotics. Okay, these antibiotics which are produced by this trichoderma will prevent the growth of certain pathogens around the soil and prevents the infection. Why? Because most of the disease causing organisms in plants will enter through root, because that is the direct contact. Because we already said, okay, when you observe, okay, while we are studying, okay, we might have, okay, the upper part of the plant body, that is the stem, usually covered by a waxy layer, that is cuticle. Okay, and some hairy structures which will prevent the, okay, entry of microorganisms into the plant body. But when you observe the root do not have cuticle. They do, okay, they do not, okay, the root is not covered by cuticle. It is having, it doesn't have cuticle. So there is no proper protection, because it is very much required. Why? Because okay, the root is the structure which will absorb water and minerals from the soil. If it is having cuticle, how it can absorb? But okay, at the same time, as it is not having proper protection, a lot of microorganisms can easily enter through the root. So here, to protect the roots from infection, okay, this trichoderma, a fungus called trichoderma, is playing an important role. So this trichoderma, which is a fungus, okay, which is a free living fungi, okay, which will grows around the roots of the plant and protects the plant from different microorganisms that are entering into the plant body. Okay, in the same manner, there is another one, that is a baculovirus. Baculovirus are pathogens that attack insects. Baculoviruses are pathogens that attack insects and other arthropods And next, the majority of baculovirus used as a biocontrol, okay, or biological control agents are in the genus Nucleopolyhedrovirus. That means, okay, baculovirus, okay, belongs to, majorly they are belonging to the genus Nucleopolyhedrovirus, are the major viruses which are pathogenic to the insects, which will cause damage to the crop plants. Okay, that means there are some insects which are causing damage to plants by eating, and on these insects there are some viruses which will cause diseases in that insect and cause death of that insect. Okay, they are commonly called as a baculovirus, and they belongs to the genus Nucleopolyhedrovirus. Okay, these viruses are excellent candidates for the specific or species specific, okay, species specific narrow spectrum insecticidal applications. So these are narrow spectrum, that means they will target only certain insects only. Okay, they will target only certain insects. That means the insects which are causing damage to the croplands, only those insects are only killed. Okay, not the other useful insects. That targeted pest only damaged. That's why they are species specific. Species specific. That's why we say narrow spectrum insecticides, because they're targeting only some specific organisms. Okay, and next, they have been shown to have no negative impacts on plants, mammals, birds, fish, or even on non-target insects. Okay, they have been shown to have no negative impact. That means they are not causing any damage to the croplands or other plants or animals which are feeding on that, birds which will feed the insects, or okay, this okay, the seeds or fruits, fish, or even on non-target insects. That means there are some insects which are useful. Okay, on that also they are not causing any damage. Okay, this is especially desirable when beneficial insects are being conserved to aid in an overall integrated pest management program. Okay, so here, okay, that means here the okay, this baculovirus, a type, okay, that is a commonly called baculovirus, which are belonging to the genus Nucleopolyhedrovirus. These are excellent species specific and a narrow spectrum. That means they will target, okay, species specific. That means they will show its effect only on specific insect and of that particular species only. So we say narrow spectrum insecticidal, and they do not cause any damage to the plants, mammals, birds, fish, or even on non-target insects. Okay, the insects which are not causing any damage because they are species specific now. So only for which species we have used, only those species are killed by this insects, by this virus. Okay, so this is very, very important. So it is playing a very important role in the okay, overall integrated pest management program. That means because here we are damaging only the pests which are causing to the plants only, or crop plants. When an ecologically sensitive area is being treated, okay, especially when we are using some ecologically sensitive area, that means there might be some specific insects which are very rare and very, very important to that ecosystem. If you use chemical fertilizers, okay, they are not only killing the targeted insects, they are also killing these non-targeted insects which are very, very useful to that ecosystem, so that we can reduce, okay, by using this okay, narrow spectrum insecticides. Okay, as a result of this integrated pest management program, okay, it was achieved and it was developed. Okay, okay, that is about this bio insecticides. Anybody is having any doubt?